G'day Trevor and welcome to this interview.
G'day Jack. Nice to see you again.
It's been a while.
Yeah, that's about 6-8 years or something.
Close to that, yeah.
Yeah.
Trevor, let's begin right at the very beginning. Where were you born and grew up?
Where? I was born at a place called Lorne. It's almost due west from Kendal. Just in an ordinary house, right? It was there was a midwife there, and her name was Granny Buckton. Granny Buckton. And when I arrived on this world, she gave me a good slapping, and I wouldn't cry. Right? She thought there was something wrong. I wouldn't cry. But a lot of things have happened since that nearly made me cry, so made up for it.
Made up for it.
Yeah, we lived at Fox's Creek, and it was called Fox's Creek because one of the first settlers there was a fella called Fox, right, F-O-X. And then later on, when the Second World War was on, we moved to a little dairy farm up on Combine, and my father went away in the AIF, and there was just Mum and I to milk a few cows and look after the place. And as you know, Australia was preparing to be invaded at the time, right? And some plans were made of where we could retreat to the centre of Australia, but it never came to that. And then later on, we moved back to Fox's Creek, and that's where I lived and went to school in primary school.
Yep.
And my secondary education, I went to Kendal High School.
Oh, okay.
Right. And that's about it, the early years. Pretty wild and woolly times then, you know.
What sort of work did you do?
I used to work in an orchard when I was going to school on weekends, you know, either chipping orange trees or making cases or whatever, you know. And then when I left school, I went cutting logs in the bush with an axe, you know. No chainsaws back then. And I was driving the log jinker on and off, caterpillars and the like. And then I got a license to drive a bus, right, when I was 17.
Wow.
Yeah, the local in charge of the police station and the mayor, they decided I was good enough driver to drive a bus, you know, and I did that. I drove low loaders with caterpillars on them and all that kind of caper.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
done all sorts of things.
Done all sorts of things.
Yeah. It was before I even started school. My old granny, she had a wind-up gramophone. And she had old Jimmy Rogers and Tex Morton and I think Jimmy Rogers was the first I ever heard. And I liked the style, loved the style, and I loved the story that the songs told. Right, all the songs had a story, you know. And I really liked that. And as a kid, I was looking in the gramophone to find out where the voice was coming from, right? And I got told, get away from that thing, you know, don't break, don't touch it. And Tex Morton, and I liked some of the stuff. I thought his yodel was pretty good, clear, pretty smart. So that was my ambition back then, was to make one of them records.
Oh, okay.
Write some songs, make some records. But I never got around to doing it until later on in life. And I was working in the bush there one day, and it was raining, and I had a bit of a cover up against a tree to get out of the rain, and the leeches were coming up and looking for some blood, and every other insect and mosquito that wanted to bite came along, and I thought there must be a better way. So I jumped on a goods train one night and rode it all the way to Sydney.
Dead set.
Yeah. And it stopped at, it pulled up for the lights or something at Eastwood, and I got off the train, and that was my introduction to the big smoke. Things were rough for a while, but you know, you learn pretty quick, especially when you're hungry.
Oh yes. And Trevor, around about what age did you get your first guitar?
What age? Around about 20,
Yeah.
I think. I'd stand correction on that, but I think it was around about 20. Yeah, I went into to Nicholson's, I think, or Parling's in Sydney, and I bought a guitar, and it had a resonator in the front, the same as Dusty Rankin played.
Oh, okay.
The same as Dusty Rankin. And somebody said to me, you play that with a slide guitar, right?
Yep.
And I thought, oh, I don't want to do that. So I took it back and got another one. And it was a great big thing, a Pacific Tizani it was called.
Whoa.
Right? And I played with it
You play.
for about 6 months. Nearly drove everybody mad. And I was driving this bus, and in between runs there was like half an hour to spend and then do another run. So I had the guitar in the bus with me, and I drove down to Eastwood Station, and everybody got off the bus except another young fella, same age as me, right? And he come walking down the bus, right, and he said to me, "Is that your guitar?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Do you play it?" I said, "I play with it." He said, "Can I have a look at it?" I said, "Certainly." So we got it out the case, and he picked it up, and he said, "Oh, it's not in tune." I thought, oh golly jingo, he knows something, this fellow. So he tuned it up, and I thought, my God, that's a good guitar, sounds lovely now. And he showed me the first chord.
Oh, okay.
Showed me how to tune it, showed me the first chord. And his name was Clary Fisher. And Clary and I were very, very good friends for the rest of our lives, until he died a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And I thank him for that, or blame him for that, whatever, you know, however. But he was a terrible nice fellow, Clary, and I appreciate that. And then I went to shows, and I looked at, when they come out on stage and they played their guitar, I looked at where they put their fingers, you see?
Yeah.
And I took a mental photo of that, and when I got home I put my fingers in the same place and learned another chord. Very slow and painful process.
And what was the first song you learned on the guitar?
The first song? Oh God. I'm sorry, but if you'd asked me yesterday, I would have thought of it by now. But, we went to a place called Eden Park,
Yeah.
and that was a top ride in Sydney. And wasn't people that grow beards, wear beards, what do you call them? Ziffs or something we call them, right? Whatever they were.
Yeah.
Well, they ran a big entertainment complex at Top Ride.
Yeah.
They had shops there, fruit shops, cafes and everything, and a big stage and a big open air area. And every Sunday they had a concert on the stage in this place, you see. And anybody who wanted to go and sing a song there could go and sing. we'd call walk-ups today.
Well, that's it.
Right.
Yep.
But entered into the competition, and there was a prize. It was a guinea first prize, and 10 and 6 for second. See?
Yeah.
Well, the first time I went there, I had another fella called Jimmy Museth. He was a boxer, and he used to come up to my place and belt me up with practice. Right, we used to go out in the backyard there. We were into this game, right? Anyway, but he could hit pretty hard too, Red. But he played guitar for me on the first song.
Oh, okay.
So the two of us front up to the talent quest, or whatever you like to call it. And I walked out on stage. There was about 8 verses in the song, as I remember now. I walked out on the stage and he played the guitar. I sang the first verse and the last verse and walked off. And he said to me when we got out the back, he said, "What happened to the rest of the song?" I said to him, "Didn't I sing it?" He said, "No." I was that nervous I didn't know I'd missed the middle of the song. Anyway, I don't give up that easy, and I said to myself, I've got to redeem myself. I'm not going to go that, get put off that easy. So I practiced on the guitar till I learnt the chords, right?
Yep.
And I went back and entered in the thing again, right? And a week or 2 or 3 weeks later, and I sang an American song, and it was called "Somebody Hugged on You," right? Yeah. And it's a comedy song, you know, like. This Indian lass has been fooling around, and the brave found out about it, and he was going to give her a bad time, you know. Somebody hugged on him. Anyway, I sang it, played the guitar, and went straight through it, right, and went over really well. And it came judging. The thing was judged by the audience reception.
Yep.
Well, there was probably 75% motorbikes there, right? And there was a girl there, she was a torch singer from a nightclub in Sydney. Yeah. Beautifully built, long blonde hair, face like an angel, right? She didn't have to sing, all she had to do was stand there. But she sang. And when it came, they had to read judges, and they had to have a reclap to see who won. And I looked at me and how I was dressed, and I looked at her and I thought, second prize here. And sure enough, I got 10 and 6, second prize. Right. And the 10 shilling note I still have.
That's it?
I've still got it, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. The sixpence I lost somewhere down the line. And there were times in my life when I needed the 10 shillings for something to eat, but I didn't use it, I kept it, you know. Pretty proud of that.
So you should be.
Yeah, anyway, there you go. I was working around various occupations, and I wasn't interested in whatever I was offered. I drove taxis and buses and trucks and worked at different things, right? But my mind was always on the music, right? I couldn't get it out of my head. And then I met a place where I was working. I was working that machine and yodeling at the same time. And the fella came out from another part of the factory and he said to me, "Excuse me," he said, "do you do much of that?" I said, "Only when no one can hear me," you see. And his name was Les Partel.
Yeah.
And he said, "What, we're having a party on Saturday night, you want to come down to my place?" And I said, "Yeah, why not?" So I went down to his place, and Pat Ware came over, right? And some other people that I don't now recall their names, but I remember them too because we were lifelong friends after that, right? And Pat was getting country music from America. I think on 4-star recordings. They were big vinyl LPs with various artists singing songs. Webb Pierce and all them, you know, on the thing. Lefty Frizzell, etc. And the backing on it was so beautiful, you know. And I was pretty tickled with that kind of music, because that was my style. So we went from there to do some shows. I worked on, got a job on the showboat, K-Land.
Yep.
It used to sail around Sydney Harbour once a month, and run by a fellow called Bruce Flockhart. And later on, the showboat K-Land and a couple of others were sold to the Japanese as scrap, right? And they were towing them up the coast, and the tow line broke, and the K-Land came ashore, right, up near Kempsey, where I come from.
Wow.
And I thought, what a good thing. Anyway, there's still a bit of rusty iron sticking out the beach up there,
wow.
right, where the old K-Land was. Yeah, they couldn't get it off the beach. And but everybody showed on the K-Land. There was Reg Lindsay, Gordon Parsons, Jimmy Little, Nola Hurst. They were all there. Terry Hall, the whole kit and caboodle. And great nights. Frank Ifield,
Oh, okay.
he was there. And I used to do a duet with Frank sometimes, and Jimmy Little sometimes. Right. And then I did did shows with Ted Quigg. He was a promoter.
That's
at
right.
Granville. And I did shows with him, Wollongong, Sydney, Auburn, Liverpool, Windsor, Katoomba. We went all over doing those kind of things. And I forget, this would be in the 50s.
Yep.
Somewhere in the 50s, I forget which year. But I made my first sound recording on a record in 1954 at a place called Harmony House in Sydney.
Oh, okay.
I made three records there, 6 songs. That was the start of the thing. And then we worked hotels and clubs and parties and smokos and barbecues and what have you. And we used to, 4 or 5 of us, you know, something could get in a car, along with a big slap bass, all the guitars in the squeeze box, everything, right?
Yeah.
And we go to some hotel somewhere, right? Even up at Kurrajong, right, or, you know, anywhere, provincial hotel somewhere. And one of us would walk in with a guitar and put it down, right, order a drink, see? And somebody bound to ask you what's in the thing, see? Not an alligator, machine gun. Oh, I've got a guitar in there, mate, right? He said, oh, do you play, sing a song? I said, yeah, but I don't do it because the public might not like it, see? They go, hey Fred, do you care if this bloke sings this? Oh, Kevin. So I get the guitar out and sing them a song. And if they liked it, you know, they'd ask for another song. I'd say, that's a thirsty song, that one. Oh, do you want a beer, do you? Oh, thank you very much. How did you think of that? And I'd say, it'd sound better if my mate got his bass in here and played. He said, has he got a bass? Yeah, of course he had. Good bass, bring it in, right. It'd also sound a lot better if the other bloke played lead guitar, right? Has he got a lead guitar? Yeah, of course he had. In with the lead guitar, see? Then the piano accordion. Well, we're in full swing, right? And the beers are lining up, right? We weave our way out of there drunk as skunks about 3 o'clock in the morning. But it was a good life. Was a lot of fun back then. There was people were friendly. There was very little animosity. There was no road rage as such. You know, sometimes watch out, we're driving and deal with something, but that's about it. You know? And it was the living was good. The living was easy. We were always broke, right? We never had 2 coins to rub together. But the best times of my life were when we were broke, you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then Chad Morgan was starting out, right? And they're putting a show on the road, and he asked me would I like to go with him. And I said, of course I would, you know. So we virtually kicked off a roundabout together. He'd become famous because of his amateur hour song, you know, Sheeka Scrubby Creek and all the rest of it.
Back in 1952.
And to capitalise on his success, which was thoroughly deserved, I can tell you.
Yep.
Because he's a pretty clever fella, Chad, you know.
Oh yes.
Yeah. There's a lot more brains beyond them teeth, you know. Anyway, we hit the road together, and we sort of paid our dues, learnt what was what, and I travelled with him for some years, and the inevitable happened. Times get tight, you know, and the cost of travel is enormous. I suppose the first day I went with him, I had whatever I had in my pocket, and a year later when I come home I only had the same. Right. So I knew straight away that wasn't going to make me fortune or fame on the road, you know. So I put a deposit on some land, and while I was away, it grew in value, and I built a house on the first one while I was away doing it, and then I went. I go too early. The first show I went out was Reg Lindsay.
Oh, okay.
Was Reg, and we came up through here, Sydney, up to the North Coast and back. He just done a short tour, and when he had a program on 2KY, that was the first one. Yeah, no, I forgot about that. And then I toured on and off with Rick Thel for about 35 years.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh.
We done. In between, I went with Ashton Circus for a while. I was a catcher for the Quantrill, and usual business with the circus. We used to take the elephant to the hardware store, you know, and walk around on the mattresses to show how good they were. And I organised an elephant race down the main street of Bega, which took 2 days. You had to get special permission to take an elephant from one side of the road to the other.
Wow.
Oh yeah. You had to get the police, the council, health department, everybody and their dog had to say yes. But we did it. Right, a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Yeah, and we did trips to Tasmania. I did 5 weeks over there with Gordon Parsons. Right, he's a bloodies.
Would have been a lot of stories there.
Well, there's one story I suppose worth telling. Gordon was over there with the Rick Thel show, and Rick sent me a telegram, and he said, "There's an air ticket for you at Mascot Airport. Be there in the morning. Get on the plane." So I was there, and the morning got on the plane, lobbed in Tasmania, and I met up with Gordon, and I said to him, "Have we got any transport?" He said, "There's a caravan we're going to be living in." He said, "You're one end and I'm the other end." I said, oh, that's great, isn't it? Right? I hope there's a petition in between or something. The fumes of his drinking might put me... Anyway, I said, no transport. I said, we need a car, Ned. And he used to call me Kingsford Smith, you know, the flyer, because I had to drive. He said, yeah, I suppose we do, Smithy. So we went up to the hotel, I forget which one, and had a beer. And I said to the barman, anybody got a car for sale around here, a cheap car? He said, I don't know, but I'll ask. So next thing, a fella sidled up to us, and he put some keys on the bar. And he said, you looking for a car? And we said, yeah. And I said, what do you got? He said, that Dodge across the road. And it was over under a tree in the dark, you know, like, and we couldn't see too much out the door of the pub, right? But anyway, he put the keys down. I said to Ned, how much you got? He said, I've got £2. I said, I've got 5, make 7. I said to the bloke, how much do you want for it? He said, £15. I said, oh mate, you're not talking to, you know, bloody richest people in Tasmania. We got £7 between us and that's it. See? So I got his £2 and my 5 and I put them on the counter, right, and put my cigarettes on top of it, right, so it wouldn't blow away, alongside his keys. Mm-hmm. See? So he's looking at it and he didn't walk away. So I thought, well, we've got a chance here. So he's just walking away there for a minute. The next thing he decided he wanted to go to the toilet. So I said to Ned, I grabbed it, I said, go and see if them keys fit that car across there. I'm not paying £7 for a set of keys that don't fit, isn't he? So he scarpered across the road, scarpered back, put the keys. He said, they opened the door, Smithy. I said, that'll do, that'll do. The fella came back from the toilet and he's standing there and nobody's saying anything and he's looking and looking. So I said to him, you better pick up one of them things. So he picked up the £7 and walked away. We grabbed the keys and jumped in the car and off we went. And 5 weeks we toured Tasmania in that car. And it was a nice car. But the repossessors were looking for it. That was the reason we got it. Right? That had 4 smooth tyres on, Yale Brenners, 4 Yale Brenners for tyres. Anyway, we left Tasmania and I come home back to the mainland, and I didn't see Ned till I'd doing a show with him somewhere about 12 months later, and I said to him, what happened to the car we got over there, Ned? He said, as far as I know, it's still where you parked it, Smithy. So they would have found it eventually, I suppose. But anyway, they were good times. And I travelled with Rick and Thel on down Western Australia when Sally did her last shows.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, when she died. And they're very sad. We had a dinner at Broome and the Chinese shop. Beautiful dinner. We drank too much. And Rick said he'd pay for the dinner and I said I'll pay for the drinks. So when we were leaving, last to leave, you know, went out with a broom. I went up to the counter and I said, how much are the drinks? Right. And he told me and I paid him. We walked back to the table, got up and walked out. And the next morning Rick came round to my caravan and he said, I don't think I paid for the food last night. I said, didn't you? He said, I don't think I did. He wasn't sure. So we went round to the cafe and knocked on the back door and the bloke come out and he said to him, I don't think I paid for the dinner last night. The bloke, oh yeah, and went, grabbed the ticket and came out, right? So Rick paid him and away he went. Yeah.